Good day, wanafunzi. Hamjambo. And welcome to today's lesson. Today, which will be our first lesson, we will look at alphabets of Kiswahili or in Kiswahili and the characteristics of the language. Kiswahili has 26 consonants with 5 vowels. The vowels are A, E, I, O, U, same as the English or the Roman vowels. For the characteristics, or in Kiswahili, there are certain factors or certain underlying factors that makes the language unique. The first one has to do with the noun classes. Kiswahili has noun classes where nouns can be found. As a typical Bantu language, Kiswahili nouns are divided into sets or classes, which are sometimes referred to as grammatical genders. Each class has 2 distinct markings, singular and plural, and each class is associated with certain semantic characteristics or meanings or underlying ideas. For instance, there is a class for animate nouns, or which in the layman's view we say humans. There is a class for plant lives, a class for abstract nouns, etc. We will go into details of the classes in our next lesson. The second characteristics is the syllable structure. Kiswahili syllable structure always ends in a vowel, where in linguistics it is said that it is open. Typically, the syllable structure is made up of a consonant and a vowel. Sometimes too, you can see 2 consonants and a vowel. Other times too, you can see only 1 vowel making up the syllable structure. At times too, there are nasal prefixes, where nasal prefixes means words that or sounds that when you produce, they come from your nostrils. So we have N or M. Where you see, or the most cases where there is a consonant, and vowel syllables, it means that they are borrowed, such as in the example maktaba, where you have the K and T, or tractor, where you have the K and the T and A. The next characteristics or thing that makes Swahili language unique is the fact that there is stress in the language. Kiswahili is described as a stressed language because in the language, the stress is fixed. So in a word of more than one syllable, the stress will fall on the last but one syllable. So when you are pronouncing a Swahili word, you don't really have to be in a hurry to pronounce it. For example, you have the word bibi. You don't say bibi, but you have to say bibi. In this example, because you have only 2 syllables, it means that the first syllable will be the last but one. So where or because you have to stress the last but one syllable, you have to say bibi. And the other example, da. Then you have anguka. Then you have bembeleza or tafadhali. In Kiswahili, it is possible for 2 to 3 vowels to constitute a syllable and therefore must be pronounced as separate sounds because every syllable is syllabic. For example, the word flower, which is ua in Kiswahili, has only 2 vowels. So each vowel is a separate sound. So you say u-a. It means that when you have a sentence or utterance, every last but one syllable is stressed. So in the example, wafanyakazi walikwenda ofisini leo, meaning the workers went to the office today. In some words of Arabic origin, the antepenultimate stress, which is the sound that comes before the last but one syllable stress, is sometimes used by some speakers. So it's lazima instead of lazima. Then you have gafla instead of gafula. These words are borrowed. And remember that we said words that are borrowed have 2 consonants before the vowel. The next characteristic is agglutination. Agglutination means words that are put together. We know that in English or in other languages, words are not supposed to be put together. So words are separated. Kiswahili has been classified as an agglutinative language because in the language, grammatical information or the words are conveyed by attaching affixes to roots and stems. That is, all words of the various grammatical categories occur as roots or stems, and they can only make sense when prefixes or suffixes are attached to them. This means that every word has either a prefix or a suffix. A prefix is a word, or sometimes it is a letter that comes before the main word. And a suffix is a word or a letter that comes after the main word. These prefixes or suffixes are called affixes. There is another one which is called infix. So infixes, prefixes, and suffixes are all called affixes. They are sometimes attached to words to make meaning. So, for example, in English we have teach. If you add the ER, which is a suffix to it, because teach is the main word and ER is the suffix. When you add it to the word teach changes from a verb to a noun. So we will have teacher. Okay. These suffixes or prefixes that are attached to Kiswahili can also change the meaning of the word. So we will have to where is a prefix and to is the root or the main word. Then we have zuri, where is the prefix and zuri is the main word. Sometimes also, especially in sentences, we have the tense, the subject prefixes and object prefixes all written together, and that is the agglutinative nature of Kiswahili. So instead of he is going to school in English, Kiswahili has an example which will sound he's going to school, where all the words are put together. So in this example, maneno aliyoniambia, where maneno is one word, the a is the subject prefix, the li is the tense, the yo is the object of the maneno, and then ni is the object prefix, and ambia are all written together. We will look at this in detail in our next class. So, wanafunzi, these are the characteristics of Kiswahili. I will quickly move on to talk about the personal pronouns. Personal pronouns in Kiswahili have what is known as subject prefixes. So please look at the table carefully. You will see that there is a first person, a second person, a third person, all in the singular category. And then we have a first person, second person, and third person, all in the plural category. All these, because they are nouns, belong to a class. And these persons have what is known as subject prefixes, which makes Kiswahili a unique language. So, with the first person, it always goes with Mimi. And Mimi always goes with Ni. The second person is Wewe, and Wewe goes with U. Third person singular is Yeye, and Yeye always goes with A. So the pronouns are the Mimi, Wewe, and Yeye, and their subject prefixes are Ni for Mimi, U for Wewe, and A for Yeye. When we get to the plural categories, the first person plural is Sisi, and Sisi goes with 2. Second person plural is Nyinyi, Nyinyi goes with Third person plural is wao, and wao goes with wa. It means that the pronouns are sisi, which goes with tu, nyinyi, which goes with wao, which goes with wa. Then, remember that we said Swahili or Kiswahili nouns have classes. So each noun belongs to a class. So we have the class 3, which is and the prefix is which goes with the subject prefix u. Then we have the class 4, which is me. It goes with e. Class 5, which is the G class. It goes with li as the subject prefix. We have class 6, ma. It goes with the ya as the subject prefix. We have the ki class for class 7, which goes with ki as a subject prefix. We have the V class, which is class 8, which goes with the V. And then we have the class 9, N, which goes with E, and class 10, N, which goes with Z. All these classes from class 3 to class 10, the odd numbers are the singular classes, or they stand for singular classes, meaning words in the singular form belong to the classes with the odd numbers. The plurals are the even numbers. So the even numbers are the plural counterparts of the odd numbers. We will explain this later when we get to, or when we deal with the classes. So remember that we said Kiswahili has pronouns, and they also, and these pronouns, they have their subject prefixes. It means that in English, instead of saying I am eating, it is translated in Kiswahili as I am eating. It means mimi, then the ni will come again. So mimi, ni nakula. So in Kiswahili, there are pronouns and subject prefixes. The subject prefixes are always affixed to the verb as prefixes. However, because the subject prefixes does the same function as the pronouns, they are sometimes dropped and only the subject prefixes can be used. So in this example, mimi ninakula can also be ninakula because the mimi means ni anyway. However, when the subject noun presents a person or human being, or is the name of a thing, person, whatever the class it belongs to, we will use the name as well as add the subject prefix to the verb. For example, if we want to use a name apart from a pronoun, mimi, then we have Kofi, then you will still have the subject prefix a, because Kofi belongs to the class or the pronoun column, or has a subject prefix that has the a. So Kofi analala, Kofi, he is sleeping. That is how it is supposed to be. Kofi here in this case is a third person pronoun because it refers to another person other than the speaker and the listener. Let's quickly look at the tenses in the language. We have the present tense, which is na, the past tense, which is li, a future tense, which is ta, the perfect tense, which is me, and then habitual tense, which is who. The present tense could also indicate a present continuous tense. Let's look at the verbs and their infinitives. All verbs always have or are used with their infinitives. These infinitives are dropped only when you want to form sentences. The main characteristics of Kiswahili verb is its agglutinative nature or aspect. In order to be functional, to be conjugated and be part of the sentence, we must attach to it a certain number of affixes, which are the prefixes, infixes, and suffixes, according to the situation. All these affixes possess a precise position and function. The general position scheme of these affixes in relation to the verbs are as follows. So, the rule for forming a sentence in Kiswahili is that you have a prefix, which will be either the pronoun or the noun proper. So it can be me in the pre-prefix column or Kofi in the pre-prefix column. Then you have the subject prefix. Remember that we said all nouns, be it pronouns or a name of something, should always have a subject prefix. Then we have the tense marker and then the object. So, we will have Kofi, a, na, kula. But all these are written together. We will look at more sentences later in order to get a better understanding of what we have explained in this lesson. So, these verbs in Kiswahili or verbs in any other language, especially in English, the infinitive is shown by the word tu, which is placed before the verb. In Kiswahili, the infinitive marker or prefix is ku, which is attached to the verb. Remember that in English, you don't write the tu and verb together. So we have to go. You write the tu and you separate it from the go. But in Kiswahili, you write the ku and the verb together. That is the agglutination we are talking about. As shown in these different examples, the examples you see below, you will see that Kiswahili verbs of Bantu origin, they always end in a in the infinitive. There are, however, a few exceptions, especially with words or verbs that have been borrowed from Arabic into the language. They will usually end in E, I, or U. The table below are some verbs of Bantu origin. These verbs have a. You will see that these verbs end in a. Then below are verbs of Arabic origin. You will see that they end in any other vowel apart from a. Then there are verbs we refer to as monosyllabic verbs. They have the ku and then just one syllable. Just one syllable. So only fa, ja, la, and so on and so forth. A few examples have been listed below. Okay, so today we have looked at alphabets and characteristics of Kiswahili, and we have given you some verbs for your vocabulary. Your assignment today is to try and pronounce these verbs as well as look for other verbs. Thank you very much. We will meet again next week.